Hello, viewers. Welcome back to the episode of With Flying Colors, the podcast series produced by School of Media and Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dubai. In these series, we feature our alumni, especially who have graduated from our school from Mahe, Dubai. In today's episode, we have with us Anil, who has been an experienced event manager, event lead in the field, especially here in UAE, and has been conducting a lot of events across the world. So, Anil, it's really nice to know that, Atif Aslam, someone showed that you've always been longing for, but you made sure to take that opportunity, go ahead, volunteer there, and then finally venture into the industry. So, it's quite inspiring how, as a student, you thought of this and probably ventured into the opportunity that came your way.
Yeah.
Now, understanding your transition from the university, moving from a student, a fresh graduate, venturing into the industry. How was that journey? Probably your earlier tries in the industry that you did.
Yeah. So when I just graduated, you're out there again. Like you have a perspective, but you don't have the platform. You have to hunt for it. You have to look for it. So I landed up an internship in a PR company first. So because PR was also a part of what I did here, and it was very fascinating. It looked very interesting because in PR you're working with the big shots of all these big brands. Again, comes with a lot of glamour. You're attending great events in great venues. So I joined a PR company, and my only role for 1 month was reading newspapers every day, and I did not like it. So it did give me some perspective into what I don't want to do. And then right after that, I was hired by a advertising company. It was an Arabic advertising company. That's where the dream of being an advertising man came alive. But the reality also kicked in very hard because, like I was saying, that the college gives you a lot of freedom in terms of making the content you make here or your projects. Of course, they give you certain guidelines in which you have to be there, but they don't restrict your creativity or your freedom to express what you feel. But in the real world, especially in the region we are in, there are certain cultural norms, there are certain industry norms which you need to follow. And I realized that my creativity would not be able to reach its peak if I'm limited. I mean, it works for some people, but I cannot expect UAE to become an advertising industry like America or India, for example. India, so there was this comparison I was doing that look at these guys, they're doing the but okay. So this was limiting me a lot, but I still managed to work 2 years in that company, and it did give me a lot of leverage in the industry. I made some good contacts, but over the years I realized that this is not what I really want to do because it was paying well, but I was not having fun. Like you said, Atif Aslam, right? I need that high,
Yeah.
and I need instant gratification. I am basically myself like Instagram, so I like the likes. Give me the likes. So I realized that it's not working for me, and then I decided, you know what, I need to do something about this. So I decided to quit, and I went to pursue masters.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, I'll go back to India. I shall not go back. I'm born here. Sorry, I'll go to India, and I will study events. Great thought at that time.
Okay.
So it was a 2 years course. It was called Masters. It was an MBA specialized in events.
Events,
So it
okay.
was a very, very specialized course.
Okay.
I went to India. I studied for 1 year. It gave me a good platform. I got an internship in a company called Cineyog. Cineyog is the company which does Filmfare Awards, Star Parivar, etc., etc., etc. They are huge in Bollywood. I got an internship there in the North India branch. And once I started working for them, things changed very rapidly. My perspective, everything started to fall in place. I understood what exactly events are. I was around celebrities. I was living the dream. I still had 1 year of my college left.
Okay.
Like I think probably maybe 1 or 2 months in the second year, I realized the college is not teaching me as much as
You're learning from
the
industry.
job did. So I dropped out,
Okay.
and I again like somewhat had the dilemma of choosing between PR and events. But my mentor, Miss Kanika Sethi, actually she is one of the person who's responsible for me being in events.
Okay.
I had a good chat with her. She told me, listen, you're not made for PR. Get into events.
Okay.
And that was it. That's all I needed. I dropped out. I joined Cineyug as their event coordinator. That's
In
like
India itself.
in India.
Okay.
Yeah. I had no plans of working in India. I'm a Dubai kid. We are spoiled by convenience.
Exactly.
And settling in India is very difficult. So, but I took the job, gave me great perspective. I was around celebrities. I was doing the best shows. Filmfare, we were doing shows in theaters, theatrical productions. It's like the Broadway of India. There's a place in Gurgaon called Kingdom of Dreams. So they do theatrical productions. And then I was hired by one of India's biggest mentalists. His name is Tejas.
Okay.
And I became like a production coordinator for him.
Okay.
Suddenly I was traveling all over India with him. So things started falling in place. But then it was time to come back. So I started, like my career actually started with huge concerts, massive theatrical productions. Had no idea about it before. But then eventually India didn't work out and I had to come back. So I was back here. And that's where the part 2 of my journey actually began.
Okay.
So that's where the real money making started, from events.
Okay.
So by that time, I was absolutely sure that this is what I want, and there is a reason why I need to do it. One is because I'm Instagram. I like the instant gratification.
Yeah.
I can measure the result right in front of me. Like, for example, for you guys, you will only know if this podcast is as good enough once you post-produce it.
Absolutely.
I can see it live. I love that. So that's what I realized. That was my reason, and I picked it. I came back actually from concerts. I came here, and I was hired by an agency.
Okay.
So this was the first time of me working in an agency. Now, from the glamour of concerts and all this shebang, lights,
Traveling, that too.
traveling lights, and superstars, music, flashy lights. Now I was like right in the opposite world. I was into corporate. I joined an agency called Radical Rising. That changed my career completely. That made me realize that you can be really successful in events.
Okay.
This was another world. Now I was purely corporate. From dealing with superstars, I was just making logos bigger.
For brands.
For brands, yes. That's when I was working with HP, Epson, all these guys. Of course, there's not much glamour in doing a corporate event, but the fundamentals remain the same.
Right.
Always. The stakes are lower, but the commercials are higher. It's rewarding in terms of finance. You might, like, depends on how you see events, to be very specific. If anyone wants to do events here, if you're like me, you want to be around concerts, then corporates will bore you, but I would suggest that you have to do corporates. Because one, that's where the money is, and second is you deal with a lot of people.
Correct.
Events is mostly a very people-centric business.
Yeah.
And you will realize how corporate trains you for the better future, or if you want to start your own agency or maybe move on to NAS Studios. So you never know. So yeah, try on corporate because it does help. It does help. Make the logo bigger is always helpful. I was hired by this agency, like I said, called Radical Rising. That's where I met my industry mentor,
Okay.
Mr. Rahul Datta.
Okay.
Always grateful to him, because truly one man who's responsible for what I am today, it's him. Because it was a boutique agency. Basically, a boutique agency is where where they have a lot of clients, but they have less people. I stayed there for 5.5 years. So almost half a decade. I did events with them.
Yeah.
I was traveling within the region doing events for HP. So because they became like one of our biggest clients, and so a lot of my success I owe to the corporate career, and of course Radical Rising, the agency who made me what I am. So yeah, it's been a journey of figuring out, and then this happened. So What's the next question?
And the entire journey has been really inspiring. Imagine, like, a Dubai kid born in Dubai moves to India, explores the event industry in India, works with celebrities, but finally comes back to Dubai, will be or is in corporate. But how did you then move into a bigger brand like NAS? How did that transformation happen? And I mean, just adding to the same question, do you think some of the foundations that you learned in India probably helped you here as well? Has it been the same?
Yeah, like I said, the fundamentals of any event remains the same. So the Indian foundations actually are very interesting
Okay.
because the way people work in India and the way people work here is the work culture is massively very different. Once you've, like how they say, once you've driven a car in India, you can drive it anywhere, correct?
Yes.
That applies to a job as well.
Okay.
Events industry in India is massive. Weddings are massive. You will be mesmerized by the way they do weddings. So actually working in India made it working here much easier because India, everything is so last moment.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like it's events, but a lot of things come up last moment. But when I joined the agency Radical Rising, this was a complete flip over.
Okay.
Here we were ready like 2 weeks before the event, and that was like a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, ye bhi hota hai. So that's what happens. Yes, it did help. It did lay that foundation because it was laid so strong that I was doing it like in 6 hours, but now I have 12 days to do it. But then when I applied it, like started back from Dubai, then it became like a very positive and the right thing to do because eventually event management is all about planning.
Right.
The more you plan, the better you are.
Yeah.
So yes, the foundation was laid and was laid quite strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that foundation, how was your journey here in Dubai? Mainly, I'm trying to explore because today you represent a bigger organization, a bigger brand, which is known across the world.
Yeah.
So from the very first organization that you started your even journey here in Dubai, how did you move into a bigger brand like NAS?
Okay. So one is because I was working with massive brands like HP, Epson, Nikon, etc. I would say that helped me a lot because it is always good to have these brands on your portfolio. And like I worked 5.5 years in this agency, but I am someone who needs, like, again, I'm Instagram.
Yeah.
I need to refresh. So 5.5 years was a long time. I tried my best to stay as I could, but it was not like right out. I have a journey after that as well.
Okay.
So yeah. So I left the agency because I think I reached a point where I just couldn't grow anymore. At that time, I felt I needed to leave, and then I quit my job, and then I was hired by an agency which does work for Cartier.
Okay.
So after this, suddenly I was working for Cartier and doing events for Cartier in Saudi, in Dubai as well. It was not giving me the satisfaction I had before. And I eventually realized probably I did the wrong thing.
Okay.
So I needed to move out. But of course I couldn't go back, like kis muh se jata.
Yeah.
So I left Cartier as well. Then I got a job in the company called Salt, the burgers.
Yeah.
So I worked for almost 1 year with Salt,
Okay.
selling burgers.
Really?
No, I was not selling. I was not selling burgers. I was doing events for them.
Okay.
So whatever Salt
Strategies to sell burgers. Probably.
no. How do you activate a burger? Basically,
Okay.
If you have ever seen a Salt camp or ever been to a Salt camp, I was responsible for executing them and activating these places.
Wow.
Which also gave me the realization that F&B is not the industry for me. It's a very harsh industry. You could do a great event. You could massively succeed in making the best production ever. But if the burger doesn't taste right, no one cares.
Yeah.
So that didn't work out either.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us on the podcast series With Flying Colors, produced by School of Media and Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dubai. Stay tuned as we broadcast an interactive session with most of our alumni who have graduated from Mahe, Dubai.